Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is SaulResercherMan, and this video is basically a result of a long study that I have done about Nigh Elf, Wisps and Goblin Laboratories. Because the Nigh Elf is the best race to have remote access to Goblin Laboratory. What I mean about that, of course we scout a lot of Wisps, we can hide Wisps on the trees, but also it's very important to have at least one Wisp on Goblin Laboratory. I'm saying one Wisp because you can access basically two Goblin Laboratories even at the same map, but one is the bare minimum. Why? Because if we have access to the lab, even if we don't need to creep the lab, we have access to reveal. And I saw so many games when our opponent had like Cloak of Shadows on the hero, or basically Nigh Elf forgot to buy a Dise to kill the shadow melted archers in the mirror. And of course, even in the late game, the access to this reveal can be important versus undead with burrowed fiends, or even just to scout something. Of course, we can't spam reveal, but it's a very, very good thing to have it basically for free. So you have one Wisp here, let's say it's a Nigh Elf base, you have one Wisp here, why not to just move Wisp a little bit further to have this remote access to the lab? But that's not it, ladies and gentlemen. In this video I will show you that during the first night it's possible to just remotely acquire Shredder, buy the Shredder without losing the Shredder, without creeping the cap, without pulling the camp with the archer and waiting. No, if you have Wisp on the lab, you click one button, hire Shredder, and you just pick up the Shredder and you go to your base, and Wisp will survive as well. Of course, you need to know on which tree to put Shredder on, but this give you this remote access. And you may say, Saul, but Night Elf, they don't really, they do not need Shredder in general. And I disagree, because especially on Tidehunters, a heavy macro map, when undead expands, enemy undead, you often make counter expo as Night Elf. And buying Shredder in a specific time is a good idea. Similar versus humans, sometimes we counter expo versus human. Versus Orc, expansion is rare, I would agree, but if you lose a lot of Wisps as well because you made mistake, don't leave the game, just buy the Shredder, you will be fine. And in Night Elf Mirror, that can be some tricky expansion as well for when you play Keeper, so maybe Mr. Jens will like it. So again, look, even because not on every map the laboratories are symmetrical, but on Tidehunters they are. So you basically put a Wisp on the first tree that it's okay, that is gives you the remote access. You click the hotkey and you don't worry, because Shredder will escape. Just move him, make sure that he won't attack the creeps. And here I was a little bit too slow, and pun intended, I got punished by the slow, and this is my opponent, the computer. We don't really care about him, and the Wisp survived. One more thing I want to show you before I explain more, that you can also try to buy Zeppelin Shredder combination, okay? So for example, the game was kind of, a lot of fighting, but on tier 2 you decided to expand, and during tier 2 you have your, we are entering the day, and it's a little bit different during the day, during the night, but during the day Zeppelin unlocks, because there is some delay with stock, and basically Zeppelin unlocks during the first day. And ladies and gentlemen, if you just buy Zeppelin straight away, he will get ensnared and killed. We don't want that, but there is this one trick that if we go for a double, so if you buy Shredder and Zeppelin at the same time, and we can click fast, we can dodge the ensnare projectile. Basically, we buy Shredder first, then Troll Trapper will try to throw ensnare on our Shredder, but we are faster. We buy then Zeppelin and we pick our Shredder before ensnare lands. And let me show you, 1800 MMR certified player, SaulApeMan, I can do it. Maybe not on the first try, let's see. 1, 2, 3, so Shredder, Zeppelin, and SaulApeMan, ladies and gentlemen. There was ensnare in the air, but I picked the Shredder. Shredder is here, and also I have remote Zeppelin. Perfect, and the Wisp survived. So this gives you so much flexibility. And remember, if you want to be annoying, if you want to play some laming strategy, let's say this is your demon hunter and this demon hunter wants to start harassing human, right? You can buy a Zeppelin and Shredder to make this harass even better. So let's see if I'm able to do it. Okay, and by the way, Shredder always spawns on the bottom left of the laboratory. So I'm expecting Shredder here. So I'm expecting Zeppelin here. So I just click here and here basically with the right click. And SaulApeMan made a mistake here. And let's see, are we going to survive anyway? Yes, as we can see, even if we make mistakes, we can survive. But it can be like, with some practice, if you are 2500 MMR Nigh Elf, I think you can do it like 95% times. And of course, it's a little bit more risky. But as we saw, buying just Shredder is not risky at all. So let's see. And we dodge, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, we are going to harass human. Let's say this human base, this is our demon hunter going in with immolation. And look, now we have power of the Shredder and of the demon hunter with immolation. Bam, human economy is down. So, ladies and gentlemen, in the next part of this video, I'm going to show you basically details on every single map. And also I will present you how to practice it, because I basically made custom maps that you can just restart, launch, and you have already Wisp in position, you have unlimited resources, there is no delay in the stock, so basically you can practice it. Because when I was starting to develop this idea, I was just waiting those 3 minutes basically to get access to the Shredder or whatever. So why to wait when you can just remove the delay? And yes, there will be link in the description to download those custom maps, and you just double click them and you open them via word editor. I will show it. So basically you can practice this not in your games, and you lose the Shredder at the first wrong attempt, and you get angry. No, practice before using it, but I think it's an amazing idea. And I want to dedicate this video to Mr. Dise, because Mr. Dise, I had the opportunity to talk with him at Raraland, and Mr. Dise said, Saul, I saw your stream about Wisp on the lab position, and let me tell you that this remote buying the Shredder is an amazing idea because it can be useful. So thank you, Mr. Dise, for not being like a Twitch chat that was spamming that Saul is so boring, nobody is going to ever use it. So I hope that it will motivate professional Nigh Elf players to basically try it. And if you see games like that, with like remote Shredder, remote Zeppelin and Shredder, let me know, so I will cast it on this YouTube channel. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to, I invite you to part 2, where I will present you every single map. There will be timestamps in description, so if you don't know how to do it on a map, I will basically show you the first map in the alphabetical order, and there is only one Goblin Laboratory on this map. So let's see, can we put a Wisp on 3 during the first day? As we can see, we need to be very careful, but with this method on basically going through the trees, there is no problem. And now let's check, can we buy Shredder remote? Wisp position doesn't matter that much to me, but let's put it to this brown tree, you know, just to, if you want to recreate it exactly. And I'm just going to buy the Shredder, and as we can see, there is a perch, so there was no ensnare, there is no troll trapper, but still it was okay enough to escape with half HP. Because there is only one Goblin Laboratory, if we spawn on the top now, we need to go back. So as we can see, it's a little bit more risky on Autumn Leaves, because it gives our opponent more time or more opportunities to basically find our Shredder. But if you are harassing our opponent, we are inside of his base, then remote Shredder buying is definitely an option because it's half HP. What about the Zeppelin? So let's look at the monsters gathering this camp, protecting this camp, and as we can see, there is no troll trapper. So by the way, this is one of rare maps that you can just buy Zeppelin alone. Because as you see, I just bought the Zeppelin and I can fly away. By the way, remember that your Wisp will die if you basically aggro the monsters into the Wisp direction. So it was okay to just buy the Zeppelin remotely. And of course, if you can't buy the Zeppelin, you can buy Zeppelin and the Shredder as well. Concealed Hill is the first map where laboratories are not symmetrical. So for example, on the bottom left laboratory, we can sneak a wisp during the day into remote position, because we need to be careful to not aggro the muddy. But as you can see, during the day there is no problem, we have remote access to the lab. And let's try to recreate this soul. So I will do this very careful. I will just go on the next tree, and I click on the next tree, and still my wisp is dead because of this undestructible thing here, those like crates. So that's why to put a wisp on the lab, you need to wait until the first night. But remember, the first night is basically a little bit after your hero finishing the first creep camp, so it's quite early. So now let's test the Zeppelin buying, the Shredder buying. And now just a proof of concept that before we buy the Shredder, that when the creep is sleeping, we can easily put a wisp on the remote wisp on the lab on the top at Concealed Hill. So this is very similar. Basically, we are just going to click the hotkey, and remember, we can't attack because we get slowed. So basically, you buy the Shredder and you immediately move him. So Shredder is not idle, even for a second. So as we can see, ladies and gentlemen, there is no ensnare, there is no slow on the Shredder. Shredder will join the base at 500 HP. That's amazing. Can we recreate this on the top? It will be a little bit harder on the top, because remember, Shredder will spawn on the bottom left, so he will spawn in the middle of everything, so he will lose a little bit more life because he will travel for longer, and remember, not attack, just move him. So I'm just moving the Shredder, and yes, he will be a little bit lower with HP department, but he will enter our base without any problem. And now, can we buy a Shredder and Zeppelin? There is only one Troll Trapper, so we are going to buy Shredder, wait for ensnare, dodge ensnare with the Zeppelin. And, ladies and gentlemen, we took literally 0 damage. Still, SaulPlayerMan, Soul 1800 MMR man, still have something in him. And look, the Zeppelin, the Wisp survived. Shredder is in our base, and now we can use Zeppelin for other things. Or we can, remember, it may be the opponent base that you want to lame with the Shredder. Let's see, on the top, it will be a little bit harder, because remember, the Shredder will be in the middle, so we'll take some damage, but it won't be a fatal damage. And I made a mistake. Retake. Take 2 of SaulNoobman and Concealed Hill. Remember, Shredder first, wait a little bit, and then Zeppelin. And we dodged the ensnare this time, and as I said, we need to take some damage, sadly, because we are in the middle of everything, but it's still better than nothing. And if we want to buy just a Shredder alone during the first night, we have very nice opportunity. Next map. Come to Gloomstalker. This, I think, the least played map on Warcraft Champions. That's my assumption. And I don't know if there will be still in the map pool, and I'm recording during the Season 19, so my plan is to record about every single map during Season 19. And as we can see, there are 2 laboratories here, and they are guarded by creeps without ensnare. So that's a good news for laboratory control, Goblin Laboratory control. But the problem is that, look, the creeps are guarding the laboratory quite tightly, so we can't enter. We can't enter during the day. We need to wait until the night, because basically our wisp will be just dead. During the night there is no problem. We just pick a tree, like any tree in the range. It doesn't matter. And if we want to buy a Shredder remotely and the camp is not cramped, we need to be a little bit careful, because we have 2 melee monsters and 1 range monster, and we don't want our Shredder to get stuck, because it's very tight, right? do not get surrounded. So basically, it's like we need to do a little bit like problem solving, and we need to decide in which moment we go back. For example, here on the bottom, you can basically pull the Gnoll Brute here, and then you can like not be blocked by him anymore, because it's like a more space for 2 units basically. And it's quite similar here on the top. So let's see. Shredder buying on the bottom on Gloomstalker. Look, the Gnoll is coming for me. And I got surrounded. Take 2. Okay, so now idea is that we are going to immediately start running down. And now when the Sasquatch is on the top, we are going to run backwards, and problem solved! So basically run to the back of the lab until the Sasquatch will try to surround you, and we have the Shredder. And now on the top it should be quite similar, so we need to basically keep eye on the Sasquatch location. Remember, Shredder will be here on the bottom left. Okay. So basically they both followed me, so we are baiting the Sasquatch, and Sasquatch will follow, and ladies and gentlemen, Shredder is here. And buying Zeppelin and the Shredder is very easy as well. Because there is no ensnare, we just buy Shredder, we just Zeppelin, and we just fly away with literally 0 damage on the bottom. What about the top? And we took a little bit, we took 2 hits. So 2 hits, no problem here. We are safe in our base or in our opponent base, who knows. Always okay to lame. Hammerfall is the first map that it's hard, basically, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, it's never hard to just put a wisp on the tree and use reveal. Remember that it's still a good habit. And basically, I will show you why. As we can see, during the first day, there is still a lot of monsters around the camp, so we need to wait during the night. And the problem is that there is a lot of ensnare and the monsters are everywhere, so basically, our Shredder will take a lot of damage. But buying Shredder is still possible, but he will be basically more hurt. So nothing really special, we just use Shredder hotkey, and even though we attacked once, the Shredder will survive, will probably a little bit less than half HP, or maybe with more than half, 306. No problem here, and yes. So buying Shredder remotely on the top, it's possible. On the bottom, ladies and gentlemen, I will show you the SaulApeMan invention. So if we buy Shredder and we just run here with our remote wisp, the Orc Warrior will block us. So we are buying Shredder, we are running, but we are blocked. And our Shredder is dying, ladies and gentlemen. But there is a solution, a little bit tricky solution. Let me show you. In order to buy Shredder remotely on the bottom laboratory, we need to move our Wisp from a safe position into position in front of the Orc Warrior. Because remember, Orc Warrior wants to block the Shredder. So we need to block the Orc Warrior before he blocks our Shredder. So look. And you may say, Saul, but the Wisp will die. No, because Wisp will be ensnared. And it's basically perfect because the Wisp will survive. Look at this. So, just because of this one obstacle, the Orc Warrior had to go around, and Shredder on half HP, a little bit less than half HP, survived, and our Wisp survived as well. So this Wisp is a certified hero. So, it's still possible to buy Shredder on Hammerfall, but with a little bit of touch of creativity. And imagine if some pro player will basically do it on high level. I would feel so proud. Now, so first of all, I will show you like this. I will still try to dodge and snare. But yes, it won't work basically. So yes, we got ensnared. Now I'm trying to save the Shredder. And I couldn't basically pick him up immediately. So now I pick the Shredder, but there is a second ensnare and it's off cooldown, and basically we are dead. This is a disaster. The bottom laboratory situation is a little bit different because Shredder will be much closer to the Zeppelin, because the creeps won't stop the spawn position. So if we are quick enough, it's actually possible to do it with a small damage, but it's risky. So still, I don't recommend this, but if you feel advanced with this skill, why not? So let's try. And as we can see, ladies and gentlemen, even SaulApeMan can dodge the projectile. We took some damage. And the Wisp was in the bad position. I will basically show you now how to save the Wisp, but this is possible. As we can see, this is possible. The Shredder survived. Now I will show you how to make sure that Wisp will survive. In order to make sure that your Wisp will survive during the day, because during the night he will be ensnared and then the creep will de-aggro and we can run with the Wisp. But during the day it's a little bit more complicated, and here it's basically too close to the aggressive creep. Let's put the archer back to make sure that it's not going to change the result. So the Wisp is here, far away from the creep, but still we have access to the lab, and if you are quick enough, we can buy Shredder and Zeppelin during the day, but it's risky, so maybe don't risk it. But if you feel confident enough, we can try. Ladies and gentlemen, SaulApeMan still has some ability to click quite fast, and as we can see, we escaped. The Zeppelin is on low HP, but no problem. And now we can put the Wisp back. So Wisp survived, but yes, we had to make sure that basically the Wisp was like far away from the creep. The Refuge is a tricky map as well. So that was the first map actually where I saw this trick. I mean that you can buy Zeppelin and Shredder at the same time because there is no ensnare. So in theory it should be good for us, right? Not really, because we have two big melee creeps and there is not that much space. And also Last Refuge is not symmetrical, so we need to remember by memory that on the top lab, if we are careful, we can basically put the Wisp during the day. And on the bottom lab, sadly, it's not possible, because even if we really try, and trust me, I tried many times, we still get into the you know, the dangerous proximity, and still our Wisp will die. So let's see about Shredders, because Shredders, trust me, that it's still complicated. Remotely buying Shredder is complicated because we can get ourselves surrounded, and in order to avoid that, we need to make sure that Orc Magi will go back to sleep. Okay, and how do we do that? We buy Shredder, then we hide at the back of the lab until we see that Orc Magi is going back to sleep, and then we decide in which side is open, because we basically want to make sure that we can still exit. And the special problem is on the bottom, because on the bottom, the top like route exit is basically blocked by the Forest Troll High Priest all the time, and then we need to make sure that we can kind of pass through the Orc Mauler. So it's quite complicated, but it's possible, and it's quite easy if you have experience with it. So let me show you. We are buying the Shredder, we are going to the back, we are waiting for the Orc Magi to fall back to sleep, and now we can just escape, no problem here. And this guy is sleeping, and our Wisp is safe. And half HP Shredder is a good Shredder, remotely acquired, no problem here. On the bottom is a little bit more complicated. The start is similar, so we go here and we wait until Orc Magi will go to sleep. And look, we are blocked, so we need to basically... We are blocked forever. As you can see, it's not that easy. And the shame is that we are in this range. Take number 2. The solution I have found is to basically force Troll Berserker to move a little bit to the right, then he will open our exit, and we do it by going with the Shredder to the right. Immediately. Look, he moved. And now the troll came. And when we moved a lot to the right, as we can see, we can still exit, but it's kind of tricky. You need to remember it. So, and we are on very low HP, but you know, it's quite remote. It's a quite remote location. And I will show you like basically a very basic move how to pull. Because maybe on the last refuge, it's worth it to pull instead of buying the Shredder. Remember, Shredder will be helpful in the opponent base, but now I'll present you how to pull. In order to pull the camp, you need two things. First thing is a remote wisp, because we need to have access to the lab. And we need a unit, range unit, it would be the best, to basically attack once the camp and run back. So that's what we are going to do. Let's imagine our base is on the bottom left, so it would be good to attack and go to the top, you know, to free the road for the Shredder. So we attack once, we immediately run with the archer to the middle, we wait a little bit, because look, the camp is still following. Now, we buy the Shredder remotely, and the Shredder will be with much more HP. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, that you can do it without the archer, as I just showed you. We go to the right, extremely to the right. When the troll will move, we go back, and basically we can avoid old Mauler as well, but this is hard. And now the good part, buying Shredder and Zeppelin at the same time. Because there is no ensnare, we can buy either Shredder and Zeppelin or just Zeppelin. So let's say we need Zeppelin to continue laming, you know, to lame better. We just click the Zeppelin hotkey and we fly away. We took some damage, but we are ready to support our, I don't know, Demon Hunter, our power rifle army with the laming. I mean, we are playing Nigh Elf, so sadly not the power rifle. Okay. As we can see, Wisp is now far away from the camp. We buy Shredder, we buy Zeppelin, we fly away. And now Wisp survives, and we take... how much damage we took? Literally zero. Zero damage taken. Last refuge. Good for this. And yes, buying Shredder a little bit more complicated. And now I will show you something cool on Lost Temple. Lost Temple is a big macro map, and buying Shredder remotely is a cool thing here, but this map is quite complicated. First thing first, can you put a wisp on the remote wisp during the day? On the top, no problem. On the bottom, it's possible, but not worth it, and I will show you how possible it is. If we put a wisp, you know, with this 3/3, the creep will still aggro, and our wisp will get ensnared, and the big old lord will kill the wisp. But let's say we really want to put a wisp there during the day. It's possible with dodging the projectile, with basically because we can dodge projectile with the wisp, similar as pro players are dodging the coils from undead and other projectiles, but with building something. So look, we are here, and the projectile is coming, and Wisp survived. We dodged the projectile with the farm, and we can have a remote Wisp. Is it worth it? Probably not. Is it cool? Very cool. So now let's talk about Shredder, because it's even more complicated. The problem with Lost Temple is that's the only map that it's where the Goblin Laboratory is protected by a red camp in the current 1v1 map pool. So as we can see, this Orc Lord looks very scary and he's very strong. And that's why we need to block him. We need to block him so he won't basically connect to our Shredder that much. And in order to do it, we need to use a hero wisp, similarly as we do it on Hammerfall. So, we sadly can't buy the Shredder remotely with our safe 3 position. No, we need to memorize where to put the wisp. And basically I'm putting wisp here, because the wisp will block Orglord, because Shredder will spawn on the bottom left. Then Orglord will try to go around and will basically escape through the top. Let's see if it works. I hope so, that's my idea here. So, okay, the block wasn't that good. We still are taking some damage, and we are taking more damage than we did, and we almost died. We almost died. Okay, it's 188. We took another ensnare, but I think it can be done better. So, take 2. Take 2, I put Wisp on the patrol here, and let's see if it works better, because the Wisp is kind of blocking. 1, 2, 3, go. This is on patrol, and the Orc Lord was bugged because of that, and we are taking much lower damage. And the Wisp survived, and we even dodged the another ensnare. I think so. So we dodge another ensnare, and as we can see, there is some magic to it. It's kind of hard to do anyway, because we still take a lot of damage. But hey, the Shredder is alive, and it's possible to do. So at least on the top Goblin Laboratory, with this interesting patrol move, we can do the lot. Let's see what is going to happen at the bottom. So Shredder will spawn on the bottom right. So we want to Orc Lord to basically to go through the bottom. So I think we will do some cheeky patrol here. And let's see. 1, 2, 3. And we escape to the right and to the top. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, Orc Lord is following. And the Wisp. Remember, the Wisp may die if another melee unit connects. It's perfect! Perfect escape! Wisp survived. The Shredder survived. We got double ensnare because I was kind of moving, but Orc Lord basically decided to not deal much because he was already out of the range. And ladies and gentlemen, it worked! So Hero Wisp on patrol. SaulResercherMan, Kappa. And is it worth it? To be honest, if you expanded and you really need a Shredder, I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it, ladies and gentlemen. Like, for real. Repairing this Shredder is not that a big deal if your opponent is, like, not harassing you because you are harassing your opponent. You know what your opponent is. So I think it's still worth it. Do it. Try it. And now, what about Zeppelin and Shredder at the same time? Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 trappers, but that's not a problem if we dodge the ensnare. And the good news is that we can, because remember, Shredder will spawn on the bottom left, Zeppelin spawn on the bottom left, and the creep location is basically not forcing Shredder to spawn in the other spot. So because of that, we can dodge the ensnare and we can just fly away without taking any damage. Similar with the Wisp positions, we need to put Wisp like away from the action to we want to have the Wisp will survive. So remember, first Shredder, then Zeppelin, while dodging the projectile with picking up the Shredder action. Can SaulApeMan do it? I hope so. That was a big fail, so will be retake for you. And here, fail number 2, ladies and gentlemen. But let's test if we can make this mistake. Okay, so as we can see, we can make some mistakes. It will cost us our Wisp. But yes, the Shredder and Zeppelin survived. Take number 2. Hey, Saul, you need to click faster. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, it's almost 0 damage taken, and now we go to our base. Let's see it's on the top right. If it's on the bottom left, we can go to the bottom left. And the Wisp survived. And now let me show you that it's possible on the bottom laboratory. Here it's harder, because the creep is still blocking. Here it's harder. Yes, we are alive. Wisp is alive, but we took some damage. So I don't know if it will be possible to do, but I mean, without taking much damage on the Shredder. But still, as we can see, it's possible to buy full HP Zeppelin. Good luck with clicking faster. Maybe you can do it. Send me the replay. Now, welcome to Northern Isles, and Northern Isles is not a symmetrical map as well. And by the way, there is one hero tree. That basically you can put your Wisp on this tree to have remote access during the day on the right laboratory. If you move the Wisp will be killed. It's not good, but we have remote access during the day. And here on the top, it's sadly not possible. There is no hero tree like that. And even if you want to try to be very careful, still the Wisp will die. So remember, if you want, you can put it on this tree on the right here, but during the night is when you do it. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Shredder buying on the right. We need to escape to the right. So right laboratory, we escape to the right. So we buy Shredder, we make sure that we don't attack. And as we can see, the big Fruborg went to sleep and our Shredder took very little damage. We can't avoid the slow, I'm afraid, because of maybe the difference between Tuskar and Muddy, but yes, the Shredder is basically escaping. Okay, let's see, on the Shredder will be on the bottom left, so we just run straight away to our base. We got the slowed again, but yes, the Shredder will survive, it will be lower HP. Sadly, I don't think that we can do anything with the slow. And yes, the Wisp position won't help. So yes, but it's still okay, it's a live Shredder. It's a quite safe position, you know, it's very rare for your opponent to be there. So, still do it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Tuskar Sorcerer is not dangerous because he can't ensnare, so we just buy Zeppelin and we fly away. And remember that direction that we are going to fly away, it's quite important if we want to save our Wisp, our remote Wisp. So I put him far away from this Tuskar Sorcerer and I'm going to escape to the bottom. So basically he will follow me for a little, so he won't aggro on these Wisps. Let's see, it's going to work. I'm just buying the Shredder. The Zeppelin. So I'm escaping, following me a little bit. And of course we have to take some damage, not much of course. But yes, we escaped, and as we can see, the Wisp is safe as well. I hope the Wisp will be safe. Yes, the Wisp is safe. In order to save the Wisp, I'm recommending these three, and we are going to buy Shredder and Zeppelin. We did it already, and we are escaping a little bit to the left. And now let's see if this monster is going to aggro on us. I don't think so, because he's just following. The Wisp wasn't in his range, and now when the Tuskar Sorcerer will come back, we should be safe. So yes, Wisp is safe, and remember that sometimes it's just worth it to lose this Wisp, you know, but still to get remote access, it's important. So remember to not like fly into direction of the Wisp. Welcome to Shallow Grave. Sadly, Shallow Grave is the worst map for the remote Wisps because it's not possible. The only worst map is of course Echo Isles that I did not cover because on Echo Isles there is no Goblin Laboratory, so there is no remote Wisps there. And I will show you the problem, ladies and gentlemen. We can't basically sneak through the trees, and even if we can sneak through somehow, the trees are too close to the creep. So basically it's not possible to have a remote Wisp on the lab without creeping the lab. It's just not possible. Look. So we are during the first night. And I'm trying to put on the tree, but the tree is blocked and the Wisp is dead. And here is similar. Okay, actually here we have... I stand corrected. Okay, we have remote access on this tree. Okay, but not for long. When the creep will wake up, we don't have remote access, but actually on the top right, we can have remote access to the lab during the night. And it's something. Remember, it's actually interesting that we can go here. And now let's test, can we buy a Shredder? And the Shredder doesn't look like he's in a good position, but let me show that we can pull this camp quite easily with an archer. Okay, in order to pull this camp, especially on the bottom, we need to have a Wisp and archer, and sadly we can't put Wisp in the remote position. The Wisp needs to wait, so it's a little bit complex. Let's say our base is here on the top. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to attack the golem, I'm going to escape to the right. Okay, the creep is following me. Now it's a good time to buy the Shredder. And we are escaping with the Shredder. Shredder is alive, and you may say, Saul, maybe it's a good moment to put like a remote Wisp in position, but no, the remote Wisp is just going to be slain. So I'm just recommending, ignore those units, I'm just recommending pulling Pulling is the only option. Similar here. Actually, let's test. As we remember, there is this remote tree here. So I'm pulling the cap into the direction, and the wisp is here. And now we can buy the Shredder, and Shredder will escape. But yes, we still need to escape with the wisp, because if the wisp will stay, then we have a problem. So, as we can see, shallow grave is not that great. What about just buying Shredder and Wisp at the same time if the camp is not crept? So during the day, let's see. Okay, as we can see, even to get into the laboratory is a problem. So let's see. Let's say this footman is a hero. So yes, a little bit more immune unit. So yes, because there is no ensnare, we can buy Shredder and Zeppelin. But trust me, it's probably not worth it. You need to go into melee range. Everything is hurt. So remember that shallow grave is not great for these kind of tricks. But it's possible, and you can have even this remote thing. And you can pull. Pulling is of course cool, similar to Last Refuge. Welcome to Shattered Exile, another map that is quite... first of all, it's not very popular on ladder, and it's quite hard for the remote wisps, because as we can see, during the day it's not possible to put a wisp remotely, and we have 4 labs on this map. But the good news is they are very, very similar. So in order to get a wisp on the tree, we need to wait until the night. But remember, one of the monsters protecting the Goblin Laboratory is a roach, and he shadow melts during the night, so he's invisible. And remember, he doesn't sleep, right? So if you go close to him, he will awake. I will show you. So as we can see, the roach is shadow melting, and now we don't see him. If we go close, he will wake up, because he will wake up, he will attack, because he doesn't sleep. And now we see that the roach is here because we have forest troll, and forest troll is not a problem because he sleeps just well. And as we can see, we need to remember about that. Okay, and now let's test buying the Shredder. And of course, this camp is very small, and sometimes Nigh Elf will just start with creeping this camp. But if you maybe expo as the first camp, is a little bit different. So let's try, and pulling is very easy here. But yes, let's try to buy the Shredder remotely. First, top left. You can see Roach is in the top. And we are blocked, and of course we can go through the tree to free ourselves. But I did it a little bit too late, and the Shredder is dead, so don't do it. What about here? On the top right, it's very easy, because we are not blocked, there is much more space, and on top right is no problem to buy Shredder remotely, and of course we are going to do a retake here to solve it. What about top right? I think it will be similar, because Shredder will, on the bottom right, because Shredder will be on the bottom left. And this is the easiest position. What about here? Let's see, maybe a little bit more tricky, but I think we can escape through the top, no problem, because we are not blocked. So what you need to remember is basically that the top left is an issue. So let's try to solve it. Okay, the idea I have how to escape is quite weird. And yes, maybe it's just better to pull, but I will show you. So, the road will go through the top, we are blocked here, and now we have a decision. Either we kill forest troll with our Shredder, or we cut the tree. So let's see if we are be able to basically destroy this tree. Let's see. By the Shredder, we cut the tree. His attack move. The tree is done, and we escape to the base. So just an example of the one camp. So let's see, we are on the bottom left. So we put Wisp on the top here in the remote position. We buy Shredder, we buy Zeppelin. And we fly away and we say sayonara, bye-bye. No problem. Shredder goes to work, and Zeppelin goes to help our army. So yes, Shattered Exile, Only top left is complicated, and remember that the roach doesn't sleep during the night, and that sometimes we need to just run around. And this trick with cutting the tree is also worth remembering because it's quite funny. Welcome to springtime. This map is very shredder friendly, especially the bottom laboratory, because as you can see, during the day there is no problem to get the shredder to put the remote wisp, and of course it's quite similar on the top. But why I'm saying that the bottom laboratory is good, because buying shredder there is not an issue. 0 damage. And it's 0 damage because basically it will spawn on the bottom left, and we can just run to the bottom. We got ensnared, we don't need to dodge and snare with the wisp, basically. And now we can go to our base, and remember, we can also go to our base on the top, because yes, the laboratory is like between the bases, so it's a pretty unique design. On the top laboratory is a little bit more tricky, because we need to make sure that we get ensnare from Tusker Trapper. In order to do so, we need to have a wisp close to the Tusker Trapper, and you have wisp on this like tree. This is not in the range, so I like to put a wisp here. Now we just buy the shredder, Tusker Trapper gets ensnare on the wisp, and we got slowed, and sadly Tusker is following us. I mean the Frubolg tracker. We take some damage, but yes, the wisp survives, and you know the map is symmetrical, so maybe it's better to buy just from the bottom without and taking any damage. But yes, sadly we can't dodge the slow. What about the Shredder and Zeppelin combination? So on the bottom laboratory, it's very easy. We'll take 0 damage because, yes, the Shredder spawn in the bag, the Zeppelin spawns in the bag. We dodge the ensnare, and yes, no problem, 0 damage taken. On the top is a little bit more complicated because basically I think we'll get slowed. Let's see about that, but we should be able to dodge ensnare as well. Okay, so I didn't dodge the ensnare. Retake on the top. Take 2. Top lab on springtime. Okay, very marginal damage. We can see some nice creep cams and so on. And you see, we brought back the monsters to our wisp, but luckily they stopped the aggro. But yes, it's possible, but for some reason I like this bottom left lab. But you may say, Saul, I expanded here with the Nigh Elf, so I want to have my shredder here at the expo. Fair enough, the top expansion is still operational. Last map, but not least, is Twisted Meadows, and we have 4 Goblin Laboratories here, and every Goblin Laboratory is a little bit different. So let's start with the top, okay? It will be a little bit different because we'll go laboratory by laboratory with everything. So on the top laboratory, we can go only on 1 tree, and it's this tree during the day, because if we move, the camp will aggro. About buying the shredder, we need to buy the shredder and run really fast through the top. As we can see, double ensnare went on the wisp. There was no slow, and the shredder survives. What about the Zeppelin and shredder at the same time? For Zeppelin and shredder on this top lab on Twisted Meadows, I'm using the same mobile remote wisp position on the top tree. And remember that shredder will go a little bit to the right, so after we buy the shredder, we need to move to the right with our Zeppelin. And that's what I did, ladies and gentlemen. 0 damage taken. Shredder is in the base, and you need to click fast, so you need to some practice. The wisp survived. Problem solved. Let's go to the bottom left now. And in the bottom left, if we go around, there is no problem. As we can see, still we have this remote position. To buy Shredder remotely during the first night, it's quite easy. We put Wisp on the first 3 in the range, and then remember just to move really quick the Shredder to avoid the slow. You can see there was no slow, and we are going back to the safety of our base, and the Wisp survived, ladies and gentlemen. And now, very similar action during the day. With Zeppelin and Shredder, basically we put our Wisp during the day, don't go too close to the muddy, and basically to be extra safe, I can always change the tree, you know, because we are going to escape to the bottom, so I want to have my Wisp in like this remote position. I buy Shredder, I buy Zeppelin, I dodge the projectile, and the Wisp is safe. I can put the Wisp back, I have access to reveal, and we are laming, or we are basically gathering lumber. Depends what we want to do. But left laboratory solved. Laboratory on the bottom, we can put the Wisp during the day there, no problem. We need to be quite careful. Do not overdo it, and we have a Wisp, remote Wisp during the day. And now let's see if we can buy Shredder without problems. And the problem is that this Wisp is like too far from the Troll Trapper, so it's a very small improvement. We need to put Wisp close to the, for a moment, close to the Goblin Laboratory, because now if we buy the Shredder, and Snare will go to the Wisp, and Shredder will survive. Remember, move him quickly so he won't get slowed. And the Wisp survives, no problem again. And we are in the safety on our base. I changed the direction, that's why I'm in the Snare. Don't do it, but we are not taking damage, and the Wisp is safe. Now, Zeppelin and Shredder. In order to buy Shredder and Zeppelin, on the bottom lamp on Twisted Meadows, we put Zeppelin in safe position, then Shredder, then Zeppelin, we dodge the projectile, and we fly away to the safety of our base, because you know where we spawn, basically, we can't avoid taking some damage, because we need to fly to the right. If you want to avoid the damage, we can fly to the bottom and around, so it depends what you prefer most, avoiding damage or being quicker, and as we can see, the Wisp survived. Last but not least, the right Goblin Laboratory, and as we can see, there is no problem. During the day, we can access it just fine. So remember, Wisp close. No, we are not attacking. We are not attacking. Even though the camp is blocking us, that's the spawn. We can't do anything about this, but the Shredder will survive, and Wisp survived as well. Second and Snare, because I changed the direction, but this is okay. Shredder survived, we can macro heavily. Okay, now we want to buy Shredder and Zeppelin, that's why we put the Wisp in a very safe position, and we need to dodge the projectile and fly to the left, because there where should our B base or our opponent base. We dodge the projectile, we are taking some damage. Because of the spawn, we spawned in the middle of everything. It's quite dangerous, but you know, we can operate on this no problem. And the Wisp was not enough to the right, so it died, but trust me, if you put it enough to the right, it will survive. And who knows, maybe you can even do something interesting on the island with this remote access to Zeppelins. Okay, last but not least, I prepared something for you, because doing the Zeppelin, the Shredder remote Wisp trick requires some practice, and practicing that with just against computer in games is like problematic. You need to be able to repeat it faster, and because of that, I prepared for you the full list of every single map in that is present in Warcraft 3 Champions Season 19 with edited values, with starting gold. So, the link is in the description to my Google Drive. You download them. This is not a virus, trust me. You put your maps into a folder, and now what is important, if you are not experienced with Word Editor, instead of hosting a game via like normal, slow way, Warcraft, you launch Warcraft from Blizzard, no, Blizzard Launcher, no. you click on the map with double left click. Okay, so for example, Hammerfall, and this word editor, don't be scared, the map is ready, and then you just press Ctrl F9, or just you click this red tick on the top, you click, and the Warcraft 3 will open, ladies and gentlemen, and you can practice. So we are on Hammerfall, ladies and gentlemen. This is Hammerfall, and look, we have already one wisp ready here, another wisp ready here. Archers are for pulling, you know, so don't mind them. And basically you have resources, and what is also very important, you can immediately acquire Zeppelin and Shredder. You don't need to wait. And there are two cheat codes that you need to know. It's LightsOut to basically make night, right? So because as we remember on Hammerfall you can't put the wisp. Okay, I want to test something. Maybe this wisp position is good. Maybe this remote wisp position is better. So let's make now RiseAndShine. And look, this wisp position is terrible because when the creep camp wakes up, the wisp is going to be killed. And you basically test things here. And if you want to restart, just restart. Don't open the map again. And repeat it with every single map, and then you can be a master. And even the pro players, I think, if you are still watching, Mr. Dise, shout out to you, and to other pro Nigh Elf players, I think it can be good for you to test it, and good luck with your heavy macro games. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that I will see some of these trig on higher level, because trust me, it's worth it, and there is like no drawbacks. It's a well-known thing that you need to have a wisp on the lab, and basically now you know how to put wisps on the lab, and when you can buy Shredder without any problems remotely, and who knows, maybe even Zeppelin buying is okay. So guys, thank you for watching. Share this video to your Nigh Elf friends, and if you have seen this, you know, I'm not saying that this is like my idea, but I grouped the knowledge, and basically I would like to see it done on pro level. So if you find a game like that, send me on Discord, on the YouTube, in the link. I will cast it. Guys, thank you for watching. It's a long video, a lot of research, and I hope it's going to be useful. It was SaulResercherMan. Bye bye.